The idea is that nobody's doing it wrong, that the way that the system is set up is made to feel like everybody's doing it wrong.
A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional.
Hello and welcome back to Oversharing. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Dr. Naomi Bernstein.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So excited to be able to be here having, working and also having a great, fun conversation with you on your birthday. I can still call you later. I know you like a call.
No, this counts. This counts. This is enough.
Are you sure? Because, last year we had the thing where I didn't call you. I texted you because of my thought about birthdays where it's like, I like a text and then a catch up on a different day. But your birthday's also on a Monday. So what else are you doing?
We are talking. This is it. It's actually kind of fun. At first I was like, my birthday's on a Monday. I'm going to have to work. Everyone likes a weekend birthday, so they don't have to work. And then I was like, you know what? I get to do this in the morning, which is great. And then I have some time off, for in the afternoon for a little bit. And then I'm going to have my Monday evening groups. So shout out to my Monday evening groups if you guys are listening. And I love that. So I was kind of like, I really like what I do for work. I'm going to get a little time with the family in the afternoon. I get to see you.
It's going to be a great day. Do what you love and you never work a day in your life, right?
Exactly. So this is great. So you do not have to call me.
Wow.
We're here.
What a birthday treat for me.
40. What a treat that I don't have to call you later. No,
I'm excited to catch up. It's been a minute. One fun fact about not to make this about me, but a fun fact about my birthday, which is September 7th, is that my birthday can never be on a working Monday. So my birthday is September 7th. This year it is on a Monday also, but it's on Labor Day
thing.
So it must, you cannot have a working Monday and be in my birthday. If it's Monday, you're off.
Yeah.
Because if it's Monday, it's Labor Day. And so it could be any other day of the week, but it cannot be a working Monday, which is kind of a cool thing, I think.
That is because a Monday is like, it's the first day back. And this could have been almost like the tail end of a long 4th of July, but no, it was like they took the Friday, not the Monday. This is like everyone's back into the grind of the week, but it's all good. I'm here, like you said. I like what I do. I like being with you. I like my Monday evening groups, a little bit of off time in the middle of the day, maybe get a little workout in. So it's going to be a good day.
Yes, I'm excited for you. Also, shout out to your curls. Got a lot of positive feedback on the last episode that aired, last week's episode. People were loving your hair. So,
you know what? It is so hot and humid here that I don't even bother trying to straighten it. So
no keratin?
I've been embracing the curls. Well, I haven't done keratin, but I just usually blow dry my hair straight. But then I go outside and it's just, so I don't even bother. I've been wearing it curly, but thank you. And that's the other thing. Like, thank you to all, I'm 47. You can use a little feel good.
So flattery.
Little flattery, put yourself out there. So I get to come here and hear kind words about my hair and feel good about myself as I'm getting another year closer to 50, which is crazy, but
big number. Yeah.
I'm still doing it, still working out.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Yeah. You look great. Yeah.
Still trying to, stay healthy. The girls, thanks. Thank you. It always feels good to hear nice things. So,
of course. And we're starting this episode. We're going to be doing a little workplace themed episode, nothing like the middle of July, to get you guys in a working mode. We're answering a lot of work related questions and that kind of thing. If you like when the episodes have a theme, let us know in the comments. If you prefer to have a little bit more of a mix, Also, let us know in the comments because we want to make this show what you guys want it to be. We love our listeners and we had so many great emails that we wanted to try this. So let us know what you think. And Naomi, you wanted to talk about an article that you read, right?
So I read an article that was discussing basically the conflict that a lot of women are having and sort of this back and forth between the working mom versus the stay-at-home mom, or the girl boss versus the tradwife. And what I think ends up a lot of times on social media becoming almost this competition kind of thing of like, who's right, who's got it right, who's doing it right, who's doing it wrong. And this film and the article is sort of, it's pushing for policy change, right? The idea is that that nobody's doing it wrong, that the way that the system is set up is made to feel like everybody's doing it wrong. And that we just need policy change. We need more, basically better maternity leave policies and more making it easier for women to come in and out of the workforce. So that's kind of the concept. And some of the, listener emails is like, it seems impossible, right? There are some fields where it feels like I can't just take a year and a half off and then pop back in as if nothing's changed. Obviously, I like that concept to an extent. And I think it would be great for moms to be able to take 12 to 18 months off when they have a baby. But what I think is needed is a little bit more outside of the box, and this is just my little group that I'm seeing. So I don't know if this is for everybody, but I think people like a little bit more of a hybrid model. Like, I think my patients would like, I work from 9 to 1 or I work from 1 to 6 or 5, or I work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or I work Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or some kind of an outside of the box. Like, I want to be with my kids, but that I also don't want to be with my kids, and I want to break from my kids, and I want to feel like I'm a person, and I get dressed and I go to work and I use my brain. So what I see in my patients is I get the stay-at-home moms that are like, I feel like my brain is not being used the way that it was when I was working, and I don't want to do that all day. And I also don't want to work all day. So I kind of wish there was if we're going to go for policy change, I don't think my personal opinion is I don't think the policy change should be let's stay home for 18 months, because I don't think most people want that.
Yeah. I mean, as someone recently, having kids, I totally agree with that. I was, thinking as you say that, like, I don't really want to work all the time and not see my kids. I don't want to be with my kids all the time and not work. And I think what you're describing is exactly sort of like the sweet spot, which is kind of hard to do. I want to have like a life and a stimulating conversation and like, a life outside of my kids. But then I also want I think that when I show up to see my kids, I'm a much better version of myself having that other part of my life as opposed to being with them all day, every day. So I think if there's a policy change, it's more like collective childcare help. Like, maybe I know they have universal pre-K, but like, let's start a little earlier, like maybe like a universal daycare option or universal. Cause like, I think more things to make it in, cause I think people were not meant to have children and take care of them on their own. They're meant to have this village, right? I think if you go back evolutionarily and like societally, I think that was a really great model. It's like everyone kind of helps raise your kids. And I think if the government's going to do anything, it shouldn't be like, let me stay home so I can do it alone. It should be like, let's make more let's subsidize daycares. Let's subsidize like childcare. I don't want to quit my job and not have a nanny and do it all myself. Like that's just like not at all my desire. Like she actually, her flight got canceled, so she's not here today. So Mike and I are like figuring it out. We like called his parents. They're coming in and like helping us for the work things we have to do. And like, that's great. Like if we didn't have them, I don't know. Like, I just think like the more resources, the more options to help facilitate like a balanced life for everyone involved. And like you said, I think you've said this on previous episodes. Like, I think it's good for kids to be able to be taken care of by multiple people.
And also it's good for them to be around not that there's anything, if you have a nanny and your kid is home, then nothing wrong with that. But I do think it's good for them to be around other kids. And I love the idea of mixed age kids. So I love the idea of, 5-year-olds and 3-year-olds and all them mixed together. Then the 5-year-olds learn how to help with younger kids, and the younger kids learn this whole like village concept. Like, I think that's all great. If we're going to make some policy changes, like trying to help, with that type of daycare setup. And also, I don't know how this would exactly work, but I think almost creating policy change within the workforce itself, where, like, I remember seeing a patient a few years ago who was a physician's assistant, and she wanted to go on maternity leave, but she also just didn't want to just be completely off. Like, she wanted to maintain her patients and her practice. And the idea of having like two of them share a role, like having two new moms both share one physician's assistant role. And it was like unheard of, or two lawyers like share one caseload, or like kind of having this be like, you can not have to take on, the way that it's set up is like there's one person for one job, maybe having two people share one job. So you can stay home a little bit and you can work a little bit, but sometimes it's set up like all or nothing. You're either work to the bone, like 40, 50 hours a week, or you're on maternity leave.
And I think that's like where creativity comes in, and like individualized options, because like not everyone wants the same thing. Not everyone has the same things working for them. I think the more options you have, the better it is. And I mean, I started doing this podcast again after 6 weeks, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I enjoyed doing it. I was able to do what a lot of your patients are saying that they want to do, which is like, this podcast doesn't take 40 hours a week. And I liked having I'm having an adult conversation with my sister.
Yeah.
For the show. So It wasn't like, but I think the more options you have, the better it is. And I think the more that we can government subsidize more options for people in their unique scenarios to help them live this balanced life, because I totally agree with you. I don't think anyone wants all of one thing or all of another. And I think that also there's like this like I think there's like a feeling of like, maybe among either people who don't have kids or people who do have kids and maybe like are a little judgmental of others, is like the idea that the more childcare you have, like the less into your kids you are, or if you're working on it full time, you're less into your kids, or you're less like, and I mean, I've even seen some of that feedback about me of like, does she even want these kids? She's going back to work. Like, you know what I mean?
Really?
I think there's like, I've seen like little things like about that. And I mean, if I believed that for a second, it would be very painful.
Right.
But I think like, I know that, in living in the real world, like this is a really hard job to do all day. And it has a lot of amazing moments. But like, if I had to do it all day, every day by myself with the two of them, I think I would go insane. And I don't think that makes me a bad mom, because I don't want to do that.
Yes, totally. 100%. I think everybody wants balance. That's kind of the key to all of it. So yes, I love this concept. We need policy change. We could sit here all day and try to figure out how to do it. I don't think we're the ones that are going to solve that, but I do think, yes, some government resources, not just for maternity leave. I think that's like kind of tunnel vision, to just giving more time off, maybe for thinking outside of the box and helping moms. Ask the moms what they want, and I don't think that all of them, I don't think that all of them just want the same, maybe the first 6 weeks or, 12 weeks or whatever they want to be home. But after that, I think it's a little bit different on what, moms want. And I think they want that, most of them, from what I see in my practice, want a balance of, I want to be with my kids, but then I also want to stay in the loop of work.
Right. I think they want a lot more control over their own time. I think that's really what people want, is like they want to be able to make their own schedule.
Yes. And why not? With now that everything's virtual and online and you can work from home, and maybe you want to work on a Saturday when, because that works for you. And, whatever the options are, I think we can think more outside of the box on this and what we can do to help moms just be happier. Then they're happier. They're not stressed out. They're happier with their kids. They're happier at work.
And they perform better in all areas of life.
100%.
We just did it. We solved
maternity
Just bring
leave.
It
here.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's get into our emails. And we have a lot of work related emails. If you like this, let us know. If you don't, also let us know. You can also, if you want to get more involved with this podcast, you can subscribe. You get 2 bonus episodes a month. You get all the episodes ad free and a day early. Or if you want to get a level deeper, you can join a therapy group that Dr. Naomi loves so much that she is doing it on her birthday evening.
Yes. Come find us, naomibernstein.com. I do. I love my people. Once you're in our little circle, you have access to me. I always tell everybody, email me. I really love to hear from all my group members. I think I still have maybe a couple individual and or couples therapy slots. I love couples therapy is one of my favorite things. It just, probably brings me right back home. I have a very unique, and I think very effective couples therapy method that a lot of, couples come out and they're like, whoa, that was really, really, really helpful. So couples therapy, individual, group, hit me up, naomibernstein.com.
And if you want to leave us a voicemail, we love getting voicemails. You can call us at 646-363-6294, or you can email us at oversharing@betches.com. Let's get into our episode. Should I read our first email?
Let's do it.
Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. I'm writing for advice about growing a career and a family at the same time. I am a 31-year-old female, and I have been at my current company for 10 years. My background is in engineering, but I switched to work on the business side about 3 years ago after getting my MBA. I've always thought of myself as ambitious, and I really value my work. My job is stressful and can be high pressure, but I enjoy it, and I feel a sense of purpose. Lately, I've been approached by a few hiring managers to consider different roles at the next level up. And each time I have felt more like having an existential crisis than being excited at the opportunity. I also got married last year, and my husband and I are thinking about starting a family later this year. I think I'm excited to become a mom too, but I can't help panic thinking about how we will manage it all and how it will affect my career. I know that many women find a way to not skip a beat at work by having their partners do more or getting other help at home, but I think I want to reserve the ability to take a step back professionally when our kids are little. I'm scared that I will say no to new opportunities in the near future to prioritize family, and then people will either stop asking or I'll limit my career in the long term. I feel like I'm going nuts trying to weigh priorities and expectations to the point that I'm not sure what I even want the future to look like. You're both professional moms, and I'm excited to hear both of your takes. Thanks for reading A Betch Who Can't Have It All.
Yeah, so here it is, right? This idea of, I want to be a mom. I want to prioritize my family, and I'm afraid that that's going to pull me out of opportunities at work, which, I don't know exactly in her field if this is a field where she can pop in and pop back out. But I would encourage her to, allow it to unfold, I think, and trust that, she can make the decision to say no when she needs to say no. And that, but what she may have to end up doing is pushing a little bit harder to get back in.
Yeah, I understand that. I think I agree with you, but I think that she's living in, like, she's trying to prepare for a life that she doesn't even know what it's really going to look like and how she's going to feel. Like, she's trying to make decisions now for a situation that hasn't happened yet. So if I were her, I would make the decision based on how you feel right now about all these responsibilities. Because, like, you don't know. I mean, speaking from experience, it could take you a while to have kids. It's not like you could have them exactly when you want them. Like, you could have kids and then decide you actually like work a lot more than you thought you liked it. You could have kids and decide that you like work a lot less than you thought you liked it. Your priorities could be completely changed, or they could stay the same. I just think there's like no way to know. And so to make a decision about leveling up in your career now based on this potential future is not particularly helpful. Like, and I understand the planning brain. Like, I'm always trying to do that too. I'm always trying to be like, how do I optimize for my future self? But the only way to really make decisions, I do think, is like based on your current mindset. Like, currently, would you like more responsibilities? Would you like to be promoted? Would you like to like, and maybe she doesn't. And maybe this kid thing is like a little bit of like a reason, like a mental reasoning that she can use to justify not really wanting to like,
right, go to the next level.
Right, go to the next level. Maybe she's happy where she is now. That's like only something she would really know.
Or I have a feeling, I think what she's probably or potentially seeing is other people who are overwhelmed, friends who are trying to do everything and seem like they're drowning. You know, like she has friends who are probably trying to take on all this stuff at work and feeling like they're never, I do see a lot of that. And she's not in that, but she might be observing that in other people. Like the biggest thing that I see in my patients are when we do meditations or, you know, I'll have people kind of come up with a nurturing thought that they need to calm themselves through their life. And this is a lot of not even working mothers, but just the idea of feeling like I am not enough. That is a thread that runs through most of my patients, this idea of I am not enough. So I think that is the fear, that the potential to have that be exacerbated when you're working and a working mom is this idea of I'm not enough at home. I'm not enough at work. I'm not enough as a partner. I'm not enough of a friend. I'm not enough as a daughter. I'm just like not doing anything well enough. So I think that's the fear probably for her. But I 100% agree with you. Wait till you get there, and then your priorities will start to reveal themselves. And I've seen this a million times too, exactly what you're describing, 100%. You don't know. I've seen women who are girl boss to the max. Like that's that from the time they're 8 years old, they're like most likely to succeed, girl boss. And then they have a baby and their hormones change. And all of a sudden they're like, I never want to go back. All I want to do is be with this baby every second for the rest of my life. I've seen the opposite, where someone thinks that they want to be stay-at-home mom and they spend 6 weeks doing it. And they're like, I really want to go back to work. I never thought I would, but I want to do this. I need both parts of my identity. And I didn't think I was going to want that. So I totally agree. I think you have to wait until you're in it, see how you feel, and kind of, I know it's hard because you want to plan and prepare, but I think you hit the nail on the head.
If she wants to know what to do now, I would just ask yourself, is this something that I would want to do now?
Right now.
Right. All you have is now.
Yeah. And then when it happens, it feels overwhelming, you can trust that you can say, okay, I have to back out of this now, or I can't do that. You know, I'm going to have to set an end date for this project, and when this project's over, I'm not going to take any more for the time being. Just trusting that you can communicate your way out of things or into things. And, you know, life is ever changing, and you can communicate with the people at work and people at home to create the life that you want.
Shall we do a Betchesist?
Dear Jordana and Dr. Naomi, I truly need your help navigating this life change, so I come to you to ask for advice. Here's my situation. I'm a 30-year-old female, and I've recently been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I'm struggling with the diagnosis at a relatively young age, but more so what this diagnosis means for me and my career. For context, I'm a lecturer in public health at a top university in my country. My entire career has been built on nutrition, non-communicable disease prevention, like diabetes prevention, and mental health. I've been a young leader working in the NCD space my entire short adulthood life. I know diabetes prevention, treatment, and statistics like the back of my hand. I've always lived an active lifestyle. Even now, because of my career field, I practice what I preach. I eat a nutritious, well-balanced diet, hitting those vegetable, protein, and fiber goals, LOL. I exercise and do weight training 2 to 3 times a week and try to manage stress levels. I know and do all of this, and yet I was still diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I have a family history of diabetes, mom and grandparents, and I know genetics also play a huge role, so it wasn't a huge surprise, but I'm still annoyed and disappointed. I can't help but feel like a fraud in my career now. How am I supposed to be a public figure talking about do this and don't do that to help prevent type 2 diabetes when I myself have been doing it and I still got diagnosed so young? Who am I now to suggest policy change? I'm just really struggling accepting that this is my life now. I would really appreciate any advice you may have as I navigate my new normal and an intention that I can use when those feelings of doubt or that I'm a fraud creep up. I appreciate you both. Kind regards, a young diabetic Betch.
Yeah. To me, this is like good for her career. Personally. Like that's what I obviously like, sorry, you're dealing with type 2 diabetes, but like to me, this gives her more knowledge in the space, more firsthand experience dealing with this sort of, with this sort of thing. Like I always say this, like, I want to get fitness advice from someone who used to be like unhappy with their body and unhealthy. Not that she is, but I'm saying like, I think like the person who's in it, the person who's like struggling in it and actually like, or has overcome something or is working with something effectively is the person I want advice from, not the person who's never had to deal with any issue regarding food and public health.
Right. She has the personal experience and also the idea, I think there's also some personal experience in this idea that like, it's not easy, right? Like the reality of this isn't when you're telling someone, eat your fruits and vegetables and diet and exercise, you tell them that they walk out the door. We all know that's not, it's easier said than done. That doesn't just, it's not as easy as that. So you are the real life person that's dealing with, yeah, I've done this. I try to do it. I work as hard as I can. And sometimes it works perfectly and it treats everything great. And sometimes it doesn't. And it's not, basically diet and exercise still matter, even if they do not give you total control over the outcome. So that's part of the message too, that you're giving people a real honest picture of what's happening here.
Right. She's not saying that I told everyone this is how you definitely, without a doubt, 100% avoid type 2 diabetes. Like if I were listening to a lecturer and she said I've done all the things right, I still got it. I still had it, but this is how I help control it.
Yes.
To me is a more empowering message, especially like, cause then it's not about, oh, you failed or you succeeded. And I think that you take the shame out of it. You take the stigma out of it by sharing about it yourself.
Totally. Because I do think what's going to happen for real people is when you make it seem so easy and cut and dry, they leave there and they're like, oh, well, that's not easy. That's not cut and dry. When I went to this thing, they're like, okay, yeah, food pyramid and eat this and don't eat that. They made it seem so simple. I can't do that. Like, forget this whole thing. So when I think you show up as a real person, really struggling with real food choices and a real human body that doesn't react like a math problem. When you diet and eat certain things and exercise and do what you do, your body is not going to turn out exactly like the person next to you. And I think that's real information that people need to know. But it still is you caring for your body, and diet and exercise still matter, whether you have perfect control over the outcome or not. So I do think this is going to, I agree. This is going to shoot you in a trajectory of being a better lecturer, humanizing this whole thing a little bit more, making you more relatable to people when you're discussing, if you choose to share this, which I don't think you have to, but if you choose to share this, I think it will really help the way that you relate to patients that you're talking to about this.
I think she definitely should. And I'll give a personal example because I failed my 1 hour gestational diabetes test when I was pregnant. And I remember so then I wound up being fine because I took the longer one, like the 3 hour one, which was miserable, but wound up passing that. But in between those two tests, I was like feeling a lot of the same feelings. Well, maybe not the fraud feeling because I'm not in public health or anything like that, but I was just feeling like a little like embarrassed about it, or like feeling like I was like doing something wrong, or I didn't, I thought I ate healthy. I thought I was like exercising enough and doing all these things, and then feeling really bad about it. And then I was telling a friend about that, and she was like, you should follow this nutritionist. She's like, she's like had gestational diabetes for like both of her pregnancies, and she talks about how she manages it, and she's like a nutritionist. She's like, that's like what she does for a living. And just seeing this woman's like page and her talking about it made me feel a lot less like bad about it. You know what I mean? Like a shade, like, or like beat yourself up more. So I think if anything, it's like very helpful for you. It's like the kind of thing where you, as this public, you kind of say, if I can get it, like anyone can get it.
Yeah. And it's not like this nutritionist was like shutting down shop, after she found out that she had this, where she's like, all right, this is all pointless.
Right. No, she's in the opposite. She's using it to like show like how you manage it. She's like, here's how, like for anyone else who has it, here's how you do it.
And it still helps. Like all these things still help. You're still helping people, just because you got this, despite everything, doesn't mean that everything that you're teaching people is useless. We have human bodies and they all work differently. And everything that you're helping and all the things that you're teaching and all the things that you're learning are still helpful. So yeah, this might be a blessing in disguise for you. Because I do think sometimes with these lectures, it can feel very impersonal and people can leave and be like, yeah. I know that I have, right. Either what do you know, especially if you don't present as someone that looks like them, or like easier said than done.
I'm never going to be able to do this. Right.
Right. And that's, what we talk about when we talk about motivational interviewing, getting people to either stop drinking or stop using drugs or change their eating habits or exercise or any of these things. There's like a few things that go into it. One is how much do I believe that this is going to help? And also how much do I believe that I can do it? So that those two factors matter. Do I have confidence that I can do this? And do I have confidence that this is going to help me, that this is going to improve my life once I get this? So when you're talking to someone that has real experience on both of those factors, I think it helps helps to motivate people, where you can tell them, your personal experience in dealing with this. So yeah, I think this is going to be a blessing in disguise. And I hope you,
I think you're going to make
that way.
More money off of this than you think. So,
and that.
Yes. Could be one of the best things that ever happened to you. Let's find out.
All right. Keep us posted.